In this video, I'll be talking about using SharePoint list as a knowledge source while authoring agent using Microsoft Copilot Studio. Now, in Microsoft Copilot Studio, you can use multitude of knowledge sources. Some of them are like files from your desktop, files from your OneDrive, files from your SharePoint. But now with the new capability, you can now actually refer a list from a SharePoint site. Now, the SharePoint list can be used as a knowledge source for agents. It can create a real time connection to the SharePoint site so that the most current data is used for queries and reasoning. So that provides an extra grounding for the agents. So example would be like if you have a list which stores details about employees, or if you have a list which stores details about issues like an issue tracker list. Now if you have that issue tracker list listing all the issues which your organization's application has encountered, and you're providing support to the end users, then you can actually query that list and provide response to the users. Now the generative answers can include relevant results from SharePoint. Agent can access all the rows and columns from the SharePoint list. Now, with regards to security, access follows all the ACL restrictions. So that means the agent which you create um, provides like supports is authentication, which is the same as like the SharePoint, Teams, and Microsoft 365 authentication. So I'm going to show that in the demo as well. You can select up to 15 lists at a time and make sure that the description you provide to the list should be as detailed as possible. Now, if restricted SharePoint search is enabled, then the use of SharePoint is blocked. So this is one of the important point to take care while building an agent, which refers to a SharePoint list. Now, this is the demo example which I have created. So I had a list which had quote and the person name. So what I've done is I've created this table which lists down the quote and the person name, and then I asked the agent get code from say Albert Einstein, and then it has referred to the SharePoint list and it has given me the specific list item. So not necessarily it will point to one item. Now here we have two records for Albert Einstein and one for Neil Armstrong. So accordingly the agent is intelligent enough to provide the response, either one single response or maybe multiple responses, or one response with multiple items in it. So let's see that in action. So let me first show you the SharePoint site. So this is the SharePoint site which I have. Now in the SharePoint site, I have this site called as Brisbane. So this is the site which I have created. And the example which I showed you is I had created one simple list called as famous quote, and it has this quote and the person. Now, from a agent perspective, I had created this quote agent, and the quote agent basically, if you ask anything to that agent with regards to quote, it will go into the SharePoint list and it will start extracting from here. So, if I ask the agent, get me a quote from say Theodore Roosevelt, and then it will start looking into the SharePoint list if it is connected. And if it is connected, then it will start looking into this list. As you see, it has gone to the famous quote list, and it will start processing the information, and then it will start extracting the information from the list. So it has got that response. So you said that believe you can, and you're halfway there. And if you see over the list, you can see this specific information being retrieved. So let me show you in action how we can do all these things. So let me first go ahead and create an agent. So I'll go here and I'll click new agent, and then I'll start creating an agent. So I'll call it as create an agent named as customer service agent. And it has created that agent, it understood the instruction, and I'll say this agent will fetch the details from SharePoint site with the list named as bug tracker. So let me call this as bug tracker or whatever is the name of that list. So first let's go into the SharePoint site. So here in the SharePoint site, if I go, I'll go into the home, and now here let me create a new list. So I'll create a new list, and here I have an option to pick a list: form, gallery, calendar, board, or I can select the template, whatever template we have. Now here we'll pick up issue tracker for time being. Let's create this issue tracker list. It has all this information: issues, issue description, priority, state is assigned to associated file, etc. So I'll go ahead and click on use template, and this time I'll call it as bug tracker. Show list inside navigation, I'll click on create, and then this list will get created in the backend. So bug tracker is the list. So let's go ahead and start adding list items. So my agent built using Foundry is hallucinating, or maybe someone has an issue unable to connect to knowledge source in OneDrive. My license is expired. Copilot Studio. So let's assume these are like the three issues which has been raised within my system. So I will just put some details over here. I'll click on edit and say Azure Foundry agents doesn't respond as per my request. Some issue in configuration. So I'm just creating some random issues. I'll click on create and assign to, now this is assigned to say Alex. So let's assume this is assigned to Alex, and I'll click on save. And then unable to connect to a knowledge source. OneDrive is full and I'm not able to use as knowledge. Click on save. Priority is high and assigned to is, let me assign it to myself. And I'm just putting some inline item. This is normal and this is assigned again to Alex. So there are three items which have been created over here. So let's use this as a list. So I'll go into the Copilot Studio. I'll say the agent will fetch the details from SharePoint site uh, named as Brisbane with the list named as bug tracker. Now, either we provide this as an instruction, or maybe we can do that once this agent is created. So anything is fine. So I'll just go ahead and click on the instruction set. So it says currently you cannot add SharePoint site as a knowledge source for the agent. You can configure specific SharePoint URL by navigating to the configure tab. Now this, you may encounter this issue. Now why? Because maybe SharePoint list is not supported in your specific tenant. So in this tenant it is currently not supported. So let me go ahead and then go and select another environment. So I have this Girish USA environment. Now here in the USA environment, I will go and click on agents, and now I'll create an agent over there. Now this feature is not propagated in many tenants. I have this tenant which has got an early release. So let me create that same tenant, same agent. So create an agent named as bug tracker. And I will I can provide an instruction now. So I'll just say this agent will refer to SharePoint site Brisbane and SharePoint list bug tracker and will answer questions related to it. So I'll just click on next. So it says create an agent named as bug tracker. This agent will refer to SharePoint site Brisbane and SharePoint list bug tracker and will answer questions related to it. So now it has gone ahead and created this. So it is now set up. So let me click on create now. So it will create that agent in the background. So what we have done, we have created a bug tracker list which has a couple of issues, issue description, priority, status, and assigned to. Now, once this agent is created, we can go ahead and configure further instructions over here. Now, as you see over here that uh, we have just provided a name, bug tracker. We have just said use generative AI to determine how best to respond to users and events. And it will start formulating the instructions. So as you see over here, it will start populating the instructions based on what we have said. Now, as you see over here, you have just provided the instruction and it has clearly added this into the knowledge source and it has done everything for you. Now, what it has done is it has gone into this corresponding list and added that as a record source, right? And if I go into the knowledge, and as you see, it has added this as a public site. So it has treated this as a public website. Now we don't want that thing to happen. So what we are going to do is I will just go ahead overview and here I will just remove the knowledge source. So let's assume that we haven't given this as a knowledge source. So I'll just delete this knowledge source and I'll show you from scratch how to build that, because sometimes the agent will not be able to understand uh, like whether it's a SharePoint site or is it a public website or is it a SharePoint list. So if you want to add that as a knowledge source, first just create a simple agent. Don't put any instructions in it. Go to knowledge, click on add knowledge, and then over here you get an option OneDrive, SharePoint, select to browse. You click on SharePoint, so click on SharePoint, and now here you get an item, say browse items or put a SharePoint site. Now what we are going to do, we are going to pick up this item, so browse item. So I'll click on browse items, and here it will present this interface of my list, recent list. Now sometimes it may not show you the list, so if it doesn't show you the direct list, click on my list or click on recent list, and now you can see the bug tracker list which was created 6 minutes ago. So I'll click on bug tracker list, confirm the selection, and now as you see it is pointing to the correct list, bug tracker. And here you can just put a description, uh, shows information about issues, or you can put some sort of a brief description. I'll click on add to agent. Now what will happen is like the SharePoint will only be available for authenticated users, and make sure that your authentication is set to the middle one, which is like the SharePoint, Microsoft 365, and Teams authentication. Now by default the agent has that set of authentication set, and it will now establish that connection. So it will establish a connection to the SharePoint list, and we can then start asking question. Now as you see, this is of type files. So it has, what it has done, it has made that, established that connection with the SharePoint list, and now it has classified that as of type as files. Okay, now let the status become ready. It's currently in progress, so till the time it becomes ready, let's go into the settings option and let me go into the security and show it to you which one you should pick, authentication, and then you need to pick this one, authenticate with Microsoft. So Entra ID authentication in Teams, SharePoint, Power Apps, or Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now, as I mentioned to you in the slide, remember in the slide I explained to you about if restricted SharePoint search is enabled, then use of SharePoint is blocked. So where the setting is, so this setting goes to SharePoint Admin Center. So in SharePoint Admin Center, we have advanced management, and here you will find some settings. So as you see, site level access restriction. So if you want to see this information, site level access restriction, You can read about this. It says use the setting with team side to restrict access to the connected team or group. For comp side, this setting lets you access restrict to the group you specify. And then there are some detail about organization wide setting. Now, I haven't enabled the SharePoint advanced management, but if you enable it, you will be able to control that particular feature as well. Now, let's go back to our agent, go to knowledge, and here I think it's still getting connected and I think it's now ready. So let me ask some questions. So let me find this out. So I'll say list issue related to OneDrive. So I'm not making any changes. I'm not making any changing any settings. Let me see if it just triggers directly to the knowledge source. And now it has thought of like, okay, this is something related to the knowledge source bug tracker. So it will ask for the authentication. I'll use a credential to connect. So the person who's using this agent uh, will click on allow, and then that user will get authenticated, and then the list will it will connect to the list, and hopefully the information will get populated over here. When you create this list, now as you see over here, it says here are the common issues related to OneDrive and their potential solution. Now, I didn't ask for a specific solution. What I wanted is like I just said list issues related to OneDrive. Now we need to be very specific with our instruction. We can just say that any issue or the issue name or the issue ID. Now, if you see over here, there is no issue ID. So usually every issue should have some sort of a issue ID. If you have an issue ID, then you can easily, like able to relate it. Now OneDrive is just a generic name. Okay, so you will not be able to find those information. Now also, if you see the agent, like if I go to the overview tab, here we have web search disabled. We have just configured the knowledge, and there are no other topics or no other agents or triggers. So we need to be very specific with our instruction. Or I can just say list the issues assigned to Girish. And I'm not putting the full name now just to make this agent break. So if you go into the bug tracker list, you'll say there's one issue assigned to Girish. I could have written the full name, but I've just written just the first name, and let's see if the agent identifies. It says, it seems like you're looking for information about issues assigned to a person named Girish. Could you please provide more context or specify the type of issues you're referring to? This will help me assist you better. So it has not identified it correctly. So let me just go ahead and just say, list the issue assigned to Girish Uppal. And it has gone into the bug tracker list, and it will start identifying the information. So it says, I don't have access to specific user data or personal information. If you need information about issues assigned to Girish Uppal, please check the relevant project management tool or contact the appropriate person. So it has gone into the correct list. It has start identifying it, but it is not able to retrieve that information. So let me go ahead and now ask a different question. List the critical issue in bulleted form. So as you see over here, it has identified the critical issues, and it has says agent configuration issue. Azure Foundry agents are not responding as requested. OneDrive storage limitation, license expiry, and it has successfully identified all these three different issues. So just to summarize what we have done, we have created an agent, and we have pointed that agent to a specific knowledge source, and this time the knowledge source is of type files, which is actually a SharePoint list. So what we have done, we have gone into add knowledge, and we have clicked on SharePoint, and within SharePoint we didn't type in the SharePoint URL site because we didn't want to directly point to the SharePoint site to refer to a document. Rather, we have clicked on browse item, and then from here we have picked up the recent list or the my list which we have. Now you have an option to navigate to different SharePoint site as well. So I have so many SharePoint sites, so you can go into say specific site, and then if you see over here, if you navigate to specific site, you have an option to select the documents within that specific site. So we don't want that document management capability reference, but what we wanted is the recent list or the list which is stored in the SharePoint site. There are a couple of lists, and we have an option to select the list. And once you select the list, it will extract the list information, and it will use basically a connector, and then it will start indexing those content. So that's it, folks. This is how you can use the new capability of referencing SharePoint list in Microsoft Copilot Studio as a knowledge source while building an agent. Thanks for watching.